All right, we are recording. We're on for Admissions U 2026. This is exciting for me to present. Hi, I'm Robert. I'm a college counselor who helps students find their best fit colleges. There are 4,000 or so of them in the United States, and I get to know as many of them as I can. I fly all around the country getting to know these colleges. It's a really great time for me. I'm a dork about colleges. And I feel like a matchmaker because I get to help students find their best colleges, create their college lists well in advance, and then I guide them through the twisty, confusing college admissions process, including the applications and the essays. I'll say I'm in California, so you may hear a bit about UC schools. Not everyone applies to UC schools, so of course, filter that for you if that doesn't apply. And if it could apply, maybe not sure, that's good too. It's good to have the information. Knowledge is power. There was a timeline resource that came with your registration. It was attached as a PDF, so hopefully you saw that. I'm not going to repeat the whole college timeline in this session because I really want to use our time on new things if I can. So make sure that you have that. If you need another one, I can send it. The one from this morning and from yesterday had a college search resource that helps students find their different types of resources that can help them learn about colleges when they're really diving into their college research. So more resources to come, and I'm hoping that all of this can really help you prepare for the college admissions process before it arrives, whenever it arrives for you. I want to acknowledge at the start, college admissions is pretty scary. I applaud you for being here and for coming because it's pretty easy to put off things just like taxes, things that are important but a little bit intimidating. And again, just like taxes, it is actually really good to get ahead of them and to get a handle on them so that you can be really powerful for the choices that you want to make in this process, because you can really only do it once. Maybe you tried learning about this stuff before but had a hard time remembering it or getting your team to buy into it. That's okay. That's pretty typical. You could be scared of things like the competitive college landscape, where even in California, our public flagship, UCLA, 9.5% acceptance rate. That's absurd. It's an in-state college. We should have access to that. You can always flip these competitive college numbers on their heads and say, okay, wow, they are denying over 90% of applicants. If it was a surgery, how would we feel about it? Having a 9.5% chance, a success rate. Maybe you're scared about the college costs. I wouldn't blame you, with cost of attendance at some schools being over $100,000 now, actually. And different things go into that. I'll be able to show you that later. But the costs keep rising, and it's not clear which ones really mean it or not. You can't really take the sticker price seriously, especially at private schools. You may be scared of doing it wrong, and you may be scared of creating stress in the family, which can happen. And some teens feel more or less comfortable working with parents on this process. I love for teens to be able to have an independent process, and then I'm the guide. I always feel a little bit sad when I hear about those stressful winter break dinner table experiences for families that especially with parents and the students and the essays. That's really tough because it's very personal for the students. Good news is that I can help with all of that. There are people out there certainly who don't necessarily want you to succeed. It's not me. I'm on your side. But of course, the selective colleges, people put, schools like UCLA, Tufts, Yale, Vanderbilt, they put them on a pedestal and make them sound very fancy, like they can't do anything wrong. Well, they're making 90% of students or more cry. So, and they're making their friends cry, and then they're telling them that's a good thing. Well, I don't like that. So I can be pretty skeptical and critical of some of these highly selective colleges that created this situation for us on purpose. Um, I think the financial aid offices can be helpful. They're public facing offices. But at the same time, they've got a mantra. It's apply and find out. They want your application fee. They want those application numbers to go up at the colleges. So it doesn't benefit them to be super transparent about financial aid at most colleges. Uh, I'm not about apply and find out for everything. I think that there's a time and place for that, which is usually once we have as much information as we can get. But I do my best to learn about the actual financial aid processes at colleges and try to predict some of that in advance, even with changes and trends. Well, your suspicions are right. The system isn't really set up to help you or educate your teen, um, even at those public schools like UC. And I think consultants and test prep companies want you to be scared. Again, not me, but there are people out there who benefit from fear and confusion in the system. So I'm hoping that this seminar is going to be able to help you to dispel fear and get to know really a little bit more grounded information about the process. Don't be scared. Uh, as a college expert, it just comes with the territory. I'm a dork about colleges. So, as a way to get to know me, I wanted to share some of my favorite schools. So, at the bottom left here, you've got Johns Hopkins. That's where I went to college, so I have to love them. I do. They've got a big brand name and they're right for a certain kind of student and their personality. And they ended up really surprising me, especially now knowing what I know, because I'm not a very intense person. But in that sort of intense environment, I ended up really thriving. Top left, that's UCLA. So this is for the student that can do literally everything and then does it and has all the energy, even without sleep, to do it again the next day. So much is happening on that campus. Super big, which has its pros and its cons. Um, Bottom right, you have Pitzer. I think that if I could go back and do a full college search for my own teenage years, I would maybe have considered Pitzer College. It's all about environmentalism. There's a communal chicken coop on campus. Everyone feeds the chickens together. And they used to have beautiful grass for their campus. It looked like Connecticut, very lush. Of course, wastes a lot of water. So the students with their environmental minds, they really put pressure on the school to pull all of that grass out and make it all California native plants. It just kind of shows you the personality of the school. And some schools have real personalities where they're trying to create an environment where students can be together with each other and have just that experience that they were looking for. Top right is Brandeis University, right outside of Boston. Students shuttle in on weekends when they want to the city, but it's in the suburbs. Brandeis is, and this is one of like your top 30 research universities where everybody kind of gets a stab at doing stuff that at UCLA you'd have to claw and scratch your way into opportunities. Well, Brandeis makes it possible. They're kind of good at everything and not just one thing, or famous for one thing. And I like that especially for students who feel undecided, which is a lot of them. And this is probably one of the friendliest campuses that I could name in the country. So here's the stuff that I want to go over today. College timeline, college search, financial aid, college evaluation of students, SAT, ACT, activities and volunteering, and a little bit of college essays with what time that we've got. And of course, I want to answer your questions. I'll do that at the end and throughout when Eric chimes in. I'll say that this particular seminar right now, Admissions U, is one that I did a couple years ago, over 4 days. It was a kind of big event, lots of work, and I really loved it. I kind of got to spend time on each of the main like little courses in Admissions U. I think that some of the major feedback I got from parents, besides wanting me to bring this event back, which I did, was that 90 minutes was probably a better for people's calendars, but also they were interested in seeing if I could get a lot of this really good information in by kind of moving briskly through it and and trying to focus on the essentials. So that's what I'm trying to do today. I will move briskly through the slides. I may not talk about everything, and there may be some things where it makes more sense for me to just send them home as resources in a future email in the next couple days. If there is anything that you want to know that we don't get to today, if it's on a slide or not, let me know. I can always just send it out, I hope, or give an answer to a question. But let's see. Today's an experiment, but it's going to be fun for me. This presentation is for literally everybody. It's specifically aimed at parents, so if there are students in the room, just make sure to filter that out for yourself. I'll be talking to parents, but of course this is your process. And then parents of 11th, 10th, 9th, maybe even 8th graders, as it's now the end of the school year almost, and you're about to become a 9th grader. This is really going to apply to anyone, no matter where you are in the process, except for seniors who would, it's kind of past the deadlines for most of them. There are some colleges still open. We could still help those seniors, but for the most part, we're looking at parents of 11th, 10th, 9th right now. This is my main goal for the session. I kind of like to do this in order to ground every one of my presentations, is that I kind of have a trust me at the beginning. I want you to be able to know that we succeeded at the end of the session because this makes sense to you and you really believe it. Your team will reach their goals with a calm and purposeful plan, and we'll check in again at the end to make sure that we agree that this is true. But a lot of people really think that they can just grind their way through this, and that the school counselor has it handled. By the way, they're super overwhelmed, and that things don't fall through the cracks because everything is set up for kids to go to college, and we have our public schools, stuff like that. And I think a lot of that is grounded in misinformation about the process, where it is sort of confusing on purpose sometimes, and a lot of times it's just a little silly from the colleges, but they're not really aware that every college is asking the student to do just as much work, at least in some way or the other. So asking for more information so that they can get to know students better and better and better, different essays, it piles up. So that's not something they do on purpose, but I think they should think about it more. But if you have a really calm, really purposeful plan, ideally well in advance, I know that that's the number one best way to guarantee your success in the process. So this is me, of course. I went to Hopkins. I don't talk about it much because I want to talk about students. My company is College Torch. This is a college consulting firm where I, the founder, pretty much, all myself, pretty much, am guiding students through the process from start to finish. I've got different kinds of programs. We'll talk a bit about, towards the end, about how I help students, and a particular program that has a really has a deadline and it's about to launch. But yes, it's College Torch, collegetorch.com. If you want to learn more about me, it's on there. I won the Coca-Cola scholarship when I was a teenager. That's one of those huge scholarships that really gave me a network to bounce off of. So one of the first things that I pushed into when I could was evaluating these national Coca-Cola scholarship applications. And it's one of my favorite things to talk about in terms of my experience, because not everybody who's a college counselor will have worked at a college. In fact, they'll have their inside information, which is not really a real thing, but they would have had that only at one college, and it would have been from whenever they were there. I really want to make sure that I know about students and about processes broadly, and then processes changing at colleges. The Coca-Cola scholarship was really awesome because they were really intense applications, and we had to go through them really fast, and it felt like I was in the UCLA reading room. Uh, Anytime you're talking to a college consultant, you want to make sure that they're affiliated with these organizations, at least one of them, but hopefully more, and then ideally active like I am. So I've given presentations at all of these organizations. I do it virtually. I go to the conferences in person. I network. I know the admissions officers and even the school counselors at the high schools the best I can. It's a big world, but that's why we've got organizations like NACAC, IECA, WACAC, and HECA. I'm all about this. I create calm and I dispel fear around the college process. So some people will lead straight out the gate. I get kids into colleges that they didn't think they could get into in a crazy world. Well, that's not really a good thing for me to say because I know very well what it's all about, and college acceptances aren't anybody's to hand out except for the colleges. So I always feel it's a little unethical to kind of play on people's emotions about saying what the colleges will do. Instead, what I can do is help students with a really awesome plan and expert information so that they have their very best chance. And I'm really hyping up the student. So if the student gets in, then the student did that. But they did it hopefully with a good plan, calm and without fear. And that can be something everybody can celebrate, especially the family. I love it. When I was in high school, this is a picture of me of my junior prom. Yeah, I was. Oh no, this was homecoming because it was college application season. I wasn't sleeping. I was so stressed about all of this. I had a perfectionist mind. It didn't come from my parents. It just came from me. I was so hard on myself that I was changing the college list basically every couple of days. So the work that I had done, I just threw it away, and I had no idea what I was doing. I just knew that I had to make everything worthwhile and achieve the goal, but I didn't even know what the goal was. So I drove myself into complete burnout, and I was only 17. You can see here I clearly clearly my homecoming date had slept more than I had. So I don't wish that on anyone, and I always keep this picture kind of as a reminder that my students shouldn't look this tired and worn out like I did. I really want all of my students to be able to know what to do, so and have specific milestones so that they can have self-care, take care of themselves, feel good, have fun with their activities, have fun with learning. It really shouldn't be a rat race where we drive ourselves into the ground. And also, those typically aren't the good applications, the ones from the students in burnout. So what I did was I created my own processes and built up my expertise. So this is me at Santa Cruz. I fly around the country to see these colleges, and I take pictures some of the time. I should take more pictures because it can happen really fast. I try to see a lot of them, and I want to know what's actually there versus what people say is there. I want to observe things. I'll just sit there and watch people and learn. I can learn so much. At Santa Cruz, I saw students studying while they were walking places, and they had those kind of like winding roads between the different parts of the campus. And I saw at least three students almost get struck by cars because the cars are just trying to find places to park or trying to find things, and everything's pretty, so they're distracted. And the students are just have their heads in books, and they're just walking in, past a couple of roads as they're trying to cut through quads. And I was like, "Are y'all okay?" And they were like, "Shush, shush, shush, I'm studying." So it's no longer hippy dippy Santa Cruz. They're intense study people now. Um, and also over time, I was able to sort of build a philosophy, which you've already hopefully heard, a lot of now, where that informs everything I do. So that's the biggest reason why I can't work for even a school, but certainly not somebody else's company, is that I'm really all about helping students to grow into their best selves. I want them to find amazing schools where they're going to be happy and succeed. I don't need students to know their perfect careers and majors right now. I help them to find places if they're not ready to decide that. I help them find places that will help them with that because some just don't. Uh, the best fit college is true for a lot of consultants. They're trying to help them find that, like I do, and I'm very student centered about it. And I'm also going to talk about college costs out loud. We don't just chase selective colleges. We really need to make sure that that finances are a factor that's considered strongly, especially for when families really care about it, because it's just really sad to see students work so hard and then get accepted to a school that they know they can't afford, and then they have that offer in front of them, and then what do you do? And it's strange for me to say that, like my student who's graduating Georgetown now, like that was a real crisis for for his family, just getting into Georgetown. And the parents had always said, if you get in, we'll find the money. But like, they didn't even know all of the current events that we've had in the past couple of years. They didn't know about their job changes, and they didn't really have all of that money to begin with. But they made a promise. So I'm really just about getting stuff out in the open, talking about it, making a strong plan, and knowing that there are so many places where students can succeed that there's really no reason to like put our heads in the sand about any one of them. Let's find places that work, because as many schools that will make students cry and then one of them will take them. There are just as many schools out there that really want your kid to be on campus, and they'll give them money to incentivize them to come. I've got the College Torch Promise in my programs where all of the seniors finish their applications early before winter break. So yes, the applications for regular decision are technically due like January 1st, somewhere around there. It varies per college. But that's miserable. That's what I was doing when I was a teenager. That's what I'm trying to save everybody from. So I give everybody a really clear plan and lots of support, so that they do not need to work during winter break at all. It's really stressful, and then the schools and the school counselor, nobody's answering the phone. So it can be stressful, but completely unnecessary. So that's my College Torch Promise. Let's jump into Admissions U. I called it a catalog because we've got our 3 sort of courses here that we're going to go through and talk out. The first part is about guiding your teen to finish college apps early without stressing and nagging. The next part is going to be about finding schools that will delight your teen. I'd love doing that. But you don't have to pay sticker price for them. Lastly, optimize your teen's chances of their favorite schools without losing your mind or transforming into a robot. And that's the sort of the getting in selectivity part. So we're thinking about everything today. So if we have this College Torch process, how do we do it? And this is, and especially without nagging. Well, here are my 3 steps to success. Awesome planning, and that's number 1. Your second A is authenticity, and the third A is accountability. I'm a professional college planner, so this awesome plan, it comes first. You can't really end goal or willpower the process to work, except by creating a strong plan, written down, highly specific, with deadlines and milestones. Adjust it when you need it, and use an authentic process that really takes into account what the student needs, and doesn't go for the quantity of acceptances. Like you really actually don't want too many acceptances. It actually creates confusion later. It's the paradox of choice. But you really want a few choices that are really good. That's actually better. This is going to involve mental, emotional, and time-intensive labor. I love when families get to work with me because then I can make all of that easier, taking it off their plate. But if you skip the plan and you just think it will happen because everybody's on a track or something, then that's magical thinking, and it may not happen the way that you think it will. I'm going to talk about a few students throughout the session, just kind of checking in with real stories and what worked for them, or what or how it came out in real life. Charles was a really cool student who found me a little late in the process, and he did not have a lot of support at school or at home. Parents cared a lot, but they weren't from the US, and they actually only spoke Vietnamese. So when I met Charles, there was this assumption that he was going to only go to state schools and stay close. because that's the only thing that they'd ever talked about. So we really got to talk all of that out. In the end, he was a really hardworking student who loved business and accounting. Hard to imagine a 17-year-old loving accounting already, but that's what we had. And so UC Irvine ended up being a perfect fit for him. And I'm glad that he got in. But what was really cool was he said the process was enjoyable, which, you know, I clocked. I love hearing that. But it's a lot of work, but just keeping on a plan so that we all know what we're doing, not falling into fear because we're just following what's written down, checking in with our support systems, and and then maybe just because his parents spoke Vietnamese only and couldn't, they couldn't get into it with me too much. The parent involvement actually kind of worked out for for the better, because he really got to just work with me on the essays and stuff, and parents just got to support at home. Support system is very important. So when you're making your plan, ninth through 11th grade, and of course, if you're starting a little later, it's not too late for anything. But the kind of stuff that ninth and 10th graders are doing, and early 11th, you're looking at your WISE course selection. I help my students choose their courses, like a 4-year plan at the beginning, but then over time we're going to adjust, and they'll discover a major, and we want the courses to line up with the major, and we'll find that some are easier or harder than expected. So we choose the AP class. You want breadth and depth in the course selection in order to impress colleges. Explore majors. The ninth and 10th grade are so great for just figuring out what's out there without the pressure of having to know, even in slightly what your major is going to be. And ideally in 10th grade, you have an idea of what you would put on the application. It's never a life commitment, the major is. So students are usually able to switch in college, and colleges want you to explore. But ninth and 10th grade are a great time to talk to people who have done it before, watch YouTube videos about majors, and just get into exploring. Academic growth, of course, practicing those time management, study skills, stuff like that. Personal development, this includes habits like reading, and also self-care, and also interacting with others and asking for help, self-advocacy, things like that. I'd love for students, if they're going to do the SAT, ACT, I would love for them to do that before senior year, because you're doing applications during senior year and the timeline is crunched as it is. It's great if we can put that closer to 9th and 10th and 11th. Most students wouldn't take it in 9th, but some can. Basically, you can potentially take the SAT after you're finished Algebra 2. That's about the amount of math that you would need for SAT, ACT. Build an application profile, like all activities, projects, volunteering, leadership, major related experiences. And that's stuff that can happen. Ignore that Wednesday and Thursday thing. That was from the 4-day session. But this is something that happens over time. And there's some stuff that you pull back on, of course, so that you can double down on other things. And reflect on application stories and the theme of the application, which comes up towards 11th, 12th grade. So once you're in 11th grade, we're really imagining those applications around the bend. So we're really getting into our college plan. So start with inventories, at least I do. So we want to get to know the students in terms of their goals, their preferences, their character values, and what it is that makes a good college. We also want to do a financial inventory, college major discovery, a placeholder major, because the major kind of is the bow or the string for the application, tying things together. It's good to know it because it helps us tell a story. But 11th grade is the time for that. Doing a thorough college search. So students starting now who are juniors haven't started their college search, it's going to be a little bit more pushed together. That's okay. It's still so important to do. Take your time to really get to know these colleges, because if you end up going, it would be a 4-year commitment. Do that college research. Like I said, you've got a resource from me for that. Do your college visits. and try to go when school is like alive and in session and not on weekends or during the summer or spring break for the college. And then for the application season timeline, you have a timeline for me that's for everyone. But at this point, your application season, as time passes, it's going to become more specific to the student. Well, write it down and give yourself little micro deadlines and milestones on top of the ones that are just for everybody. Create an essay organizer. Always write those essays inside of the Google Doc. Same thing with the activities, descriptions. Everything should be copy pasted into the application. Nothing should be written in it. So you're getting all your organizers together, really planning stuff out with that, and get all your little deadlines down so that you know what to do and when. And then just be ready to adjust. Check in with people. No one should be all alone in a silo. So if it's parents or another support system, school counselor or me, just make sure that we're ready to adjust and get outside input. And then here are your major application season dates. I would really not even bother with the ACT or SAT if it's after the July or August one, which meant you were studying all the way through the summer. Once you get into the 12th grade first semester, that's sort of a frenzy where all the seniors are trying to take it, but then other people are trying to take it in that time too. It fills up, and then it's just really stressful on top of the application process that you're trying to do at the exact same time, which is obviously more important. So if we have to lose something and we can't handle everything and the SAT still hasn't been taken at this time, usually this is when that's the thing that we drop, because so many colleges are test optional now. August 1st is when your UC app and Common App open. And then you get to, those two applications will have a deadline. November, or UC app, you can submit it early in October. October 1st is when FAFSA and CSS open. Those are your financial aid forms. That's October 1st. And then November 1st is when most of your early action, early decision deadlines would be, but they can change. They can be forward or backwards on that, depending on the schools. Your materials need to arrive at the school by this date. So you really need to make sure everything is in, including the teacher recommendations. And of course, they're submitting those, not you. December 15th is your... It's highly recommended. Don't try to do any college work past that, because it'll take 10 times as long to do something half as well, with all of the pressure and low support of the winter break there. So I would finish everything by December 15th if possible for the application process. When do you want to write your essays? Well, my typical general essay calendar probably looks like July 15th is probably a good time to be done with UC essays. Usually my students are finishing those a little earlier, but it depends. August 15th, the Common App personal statements, and you can do the other supplements through December 15th, like we said. Usually it's in August or September that the colleges individually release their additional essay prompts beyond the ones that you had for the Common App and the personal statement. So don't forget to check that timeline, kind of see all of that written out. We talk about authenticity because we really want to listen to students, connect with them, and communicate. Sometimes for parents, that can be harder, and sometimes it's just not a thing, but we always want to leave lots of room for knowing that students are changing every single day, just because their brain's changing. So just constantly checking in with them and making sure the process is student-centered helps you avoid problems later. Eric was an interesting student to work with, and he had an interesting story where he was just really scared of math. He didn't want to take it. He was just so tired of it, and he just felt his whole life would be better if he didn't take math in senior year. And he tried to run that by me, and really he wanted to go to really selective UCs, and I just didn't think they would have it. I think that would probably not work for almost anyone. I thought it was a really bad idea. I was pretty worried about it. He wanted to take AP Art History instead, and I said that's not the same. I mean, they want to see math. You can't. It's not like this AP or this AP. You need to take math in senior year. In the end, he ended up doing it because that was, he felt really strongly that his life would be different if he didn't have to take math. And I don't know long term how well that worked for him, but I do know that it made him much happier, and it was cool to see him really relax during the process. What I did was just listen to him really carefully about what he had what he had excitement for, and what experiences would help him to grow over the next couple months before the application process. He ended up working at McDonald's. I helped him find a job that was going to really put him outside of his comfort zone and bubble, learning lots of lessons. He wrote his personal statement about what he learned from the people at his job at McDonald's, and in the end, like he was accepted to a lot of UCs and Berkeley. So even Berkeley went with no math senior year. Super. This was one of those students that I learned from. So really, just you can always learn something when you listen directly to students, and leave a lot of flexibility to support them. So that was authenticity. Don't forget to take your inventories, like we talked about. Lastly, accountability. That just means that you have those deadlines and that somebody knows if you miss a deadline. There's no point in making deadlines if just a student would say, "Oh, okay, I really need to do that tomorrow." Then, if I missed it, usually it should be like a meeting at night, or a check-in with a counselor, or check-in even with a friend, or technology like an app. But if a deadline is missed, or if something doesn't happen the way that the student planned, just something should happen, or is there something someone should know. And you can use these kind of accountability supports right here: deadlines, FaceTime, technology supports, and engagement. So hopefully you are not feeling as scared. I skipped Alyssa's story just for time, but every student kind of has this sigh of relief moment at some point. I just love this. I wish I could tell you your story, but with all of the students, it's wonderful to see their work pay off with the awesome plan. So next, let's look at the college search, finding schools that will make students really happy. And then we'll talk about financial aid and scholarships a little bit, because a lot of times the sticker price is not what you pay. So, the college search is something that I work with students on over weeks or months, depending on how fast we go. And I really get into a lot of different parts of colleges that would make it a good fit or a good college for the student. So I'm going to kind of give the overview of that so that you can reflect on it. The balanced list we're going to talk about, that's about the selectivity, because finding your perfect colleges isn't going to do you any good if you don't have mechanisms built in for that selectivity and denial factor, where colleges just are doing that now. And then we'll talk about the University of California with the time we've got. Financial aid would be college costs, merit scholarships, and need-based aid. So really, students are searching for that college where they're going to thrive and be happy and achieve their goals. We want that for them. The students want that for themselves, and there can just be a lot of voices in the student's head, especially around prestige and other stuff like location and where their friends are going, and like pressures to have a certain lucrative career that may not even exist later. And really, if you focus on thrive, be happy, achieve their goals, and of course, don't break your bank, and you have your plan, that's where you're going to find a lot of success. Can't go wrong. Like Thomas was a student who came to me with a really great transcript, and he wanted to make video games, and he just had this whole vision for himself. I thought it was so cool. Pretty quickly within meeting Thomas and working with him, it became clear he really wanted to go to Caltech. Like I'm over towards Pasadena, and around here, almost everybody knows somebody whose parents work at JPL and or at Caltech, and so there's sort of this shininess about Caltech. Well, Caltech is very small, very, very, very small. Almost nobody gets to go in because of those very scant numbers, and also the work that's happening there is all about sending satellites into space and robots and building things, that kind of thing. They aren't making video games. There's no video game class at Caltech. Of course, you can go to all sorts of colleges and make video games with a team of friends and get that experience that way. You can have any sort of major and do that. But Caltech is a not like it's not the place to go if you want to make video games. So talking the student out of his dream school, I was very nervous. I don't want to you know pop dreams. I just don't want to support. I just want to provide information. Anyways, it was actually very relieving to him because it was pretty obvious from exploring and talking to people over there that wasn't going to give him what he needed. So he was happy to go to that computer science program at UC Santa Barbara. It was a super good fit for him. This is a really good way to categorize different components of a good fit college. Are they the right people? Are there too many of them? Are there not enough of them? Are they doing things that you want to do with the kind of energy and personality that you're looking for? Also, diversity in politics, stuff like that. Places, where do you find people and what are they doing there? This may also be like city or suburbs, and whether you have access to internships, and open-mindedness about region, because the more open-minded we could be about where we go to school, the more I can help students to find good fit schools there, or all over the place. The programs, obviously, I would say just don't get too caught up in specific majors because of the likelihood of switching. Don't go to a school just for one program that really seems good when, even if we don't know it yet, there's a chance the student could have some other interest and then they're at one school for one specific program alone. That usually backfires. The price, we're going to talk about that more, but basically all the fancy schools keep upping their tuition and costs, mostly for the wealthiest people in the country that can afford that quite easily. And then it kind of disrupts the marketplace, where I'll say agitates the marketplace, but other colleges are raising their prices because they're trying to not look like the cheapest thing on the marketplace. And so it becomes an illusion where they're giving out more scholarships for the inflated price at those schools, not at all schools. And then there's this prestige factor. Even though I don't like rankings, and I think that this gets in students' heads and that colleges are manipulating everyone, prestige is more or less important to some families, and just treat it like one of these preferences, one thing of many, one factor, and kind of rank the different preferences. And when I'm making college lists, I take all of it into account. You should too. Balanced list. This is how I usually do it. I do Dream or Super Reach. I've been calling that fancy recently because Dream School, I don't know, that's another phrase that I think gets in people's heads. You have your Reach, which is like, if you work really hard, let's make this happen, but we don't ever know. Target is more like in a fair world. That's the nice spot, and it can turn into scholarships if you do a really great job. Likely in scholarship schools, like a 75% chance of acceptance. That's different than the acceptance rate of the school, because we're talking about 75% based on the student's profile. And other factors that would make them a good fit for this school. So I'm always considering the student as they would fit for the school. What is their profile? What does their transcript say? What is the financial situation? And how likely is that school based on that? And that can be hard to find out, but there's data online. If you Google the common data set, you can find some of that. And also you can call the schools. And then this morning I sent out a resource about that. Real quick about University of California. I think a lot of people rely on University of California. In California, it is our state system. Just know that in terms of selectivity, they are out of control. So not only are they selective schools, I don't even call them that. I call them chaos schools, because they're hiring seasonal readers. It happens so fast. Papers are flying, mistakes are being made. They say they have 2 readers reading the applications sometimes, but then they don't say that each reader reads a different part of the application, so they don't have all the context when they're reading the part they're reading. And then they've got rubrics, and they don't even say that, but they have rubrics. So you can't count on these results all the time. I've got students who would be denied at Santa Barbara. They go to Berkeley. That was 3 students last year. So I don't even think students should visit UCs and get really caught up in them much. Visit them to see big schools, see what they're like. But sometimes it makes more sense to just visit UCs after you see which ones you get into. And then in terms of the experience, a lot of students are imagining this all the time, just a lot of happy people having fun. The pictures, of course, that they're putting out online, utopian places basically, but often it looks more like this. If you've got 40,000 undergrads, 60,000 if you count the grad students, that's a lot of people. Yes, do they have resources? Yes, the school has resources. Can you have them as an undergrad? It's not clear, and probably unlikely, especially if you're a high performing student who doesn't like to make waves. Like, you kind of have to scratch and fight for opportunities at these big schools, but especially at UCs that are so competitive. Professors don't interact with you much or at all. You take a section with a TA. You could be shut out of even opportunities like clubs and research opportunities. You can have trouble finding housing, registering for classes, or being admitted to certain majors, especially computer science, also business. So I think I'm not trying to kind of like rag on UCs. I just don't want everybody to think that they are the utopian schools that people sometimes think that they are. Instead, you're trying to kind of keep a level head there, and try to have a balanced list of colleges with an open mind that satisfy as much as possible out of the preferences, but don't rely entirely on University of California system. That's best. And college costs come into play because as soon as people hear private school, they think, the price. But the sticker price isn't what people usually pay because, like I said, the colleges are giving out aid packages, which are usually a little bit confusing and mysterious when they arrive. Like, you got this grant, congratulations, and then they move on. Sometimes it's laid out in a confusing way in those letters. Sometimes that's on purpose. Other times it's more simple. But I can show you some of the students that have used need-based and merit aid to lower their cost of attendance in a second, but this is what a cost of attendance is basically. And these are from a few years ago, by the way. But you can see you've got your you don't just have your tuition in the cost of attendance, that's its own number, but also the different fees, housing, dining, meals, books and supplies, personal expenses, transportation, stuff like that. That's your cost of attendance, COA. That's usually the number you should look up when you're trying to figure out how expensive the cost is. And remember that when you pay that cost of attendance, or that plus a scholarship, just remember that you also are not then paying for room, board, and stuff like that, and meals and stuff at home. That's instead of everything that you're paying right now. Also, those the sports fees and stuff. We're paying a lot of money for the teens sometimes right now. And here's it's for UC. Now let's talk about aid. There are 4 sources of aid. Top left, federal. Top right, state. These are usually need-based, but Cal Grant gets into a merit a little bit with the GPA verification. Bottom left is institutional, directly from whatever college you're applying to. Bottom right is outside scholarships, like the Coca-Cola scholarship that I love, that I got. So institution is the way to go. If you're really looking for the most money, it is the institution, because federal and state stuff, it can come up to a little bit, especially if you can demonstrate need. You're going to be able to get hopefully some of that. But really, where you're talking about tens of thousands of dollars and more, that comes from the college lowering the cost, as that's a lot easier for them to do than for the state to produce money or for private companies to kind of produce money. Need-based aid, you need to know about the FAFSA and the CSS profile. They open October 1st. Don't frantically try to submit them on October 2nd. It's not that important to get them in that early, but you do want to submit it in the first month, ideally, if you can. And then Cal Grant GPA verification form, technically is due on March 2nd. Usually the school counselor helps with this. Just make sure it gets in early. And again, that institutional money is where it's all at. Merit scholarships, same thing as need-based. It depends on the school. Some schools are all about, usually the fancy ones are all about need-based aid. Some of them are no merit. And then other ones can do anything they want with the need-based aid. And then they're all about incentivizing students to come with merit. That helps them choose the students that they want to come in And they use consultants to help them know how much money to give to which students to get them to come in. Maybe students are competitive in terms of their GPA, test scores, demographics are attractive, like a California student in Ohio, or maybe you're just a great fit in your essays and application show it. That's a lot of time a reason a student can get a merit scholarship with me. Here are some examples. So they just kind of, you can see from this letter, they just kind of roll it into one thing, but that's 18,000 plus 18,000 is 36,000. They roll the loans into it because they want you to feel better about it. But obviously you think in your head, okay, that's not the grant or scholarship. That's money you don't have to pay back. The loan is a loan, you have to pay it back. Most important thing to remember about merit scholarships is that they're a college search topic, not an application topic. Everybody thinks that you're writing the fanciest essays. That happens sometimes with some scholarships, that they would have an essay involved, but a lot of merit scholarships, nearly all of them, they have enough information from your original college application to be able to make that decision, and it just gets announced when you get your acceptance, you get your financial aid package, and they'll walk you through how much merit they were able to give you. Or they'll just call it aid and they roll need into it. But finding the colleges and the college search that are going to meet you in the right place for college costs, if that's a little or a lot, that is where the money is going to come from the institution. You can't bleed a stone. Schools like Princeton, they just are not giving out merit scholarships. It's not what they do. But if you have exceptional need and you can show it on paperwork, then maybe that is the place for you to find your scholarships and your college cost. At the same time, if you have a great profile or great essays, a great story, maybe you want to explore schools that are a good fit, that do offer merit scholarships. You can call a financial aid office and get a sense of what the merit scholarship and average cost of attendance is, or the most generous award that has been given out, that kind of thing, to get some general information from them. I do all of that work. If you work with me, so that you don't have to do it. I want to know for everybody, but there are a lot to keep up with. A call always does a really good, a lot of help. And then just make sure if you do these private scholarships that you do them after your college applications, because they're not going to be that much money. Sometimes they're just one time, actually most of the time they are, and they don't even put a dent into the total cost of these colleges usually. Even the Coca-Cola scholarship was $20,000 for 150 students in the country. 20,000 still is not making a dent, and they sort of wanted to roll it into the aid that I already got at Hopkins, so I had to use it on stuff like travel and a laptop, things like that, so that they didn't suck it up. So if you do the private scholarship search, just make sure to do it probably in the spring. But planning for the college costs, financial aid, merit aid, all of that can save you so much money, and that doesn't even include the earning potential of the student that found their purpose. So like my most premium comprehensive junior senior year type package, actually it's the same for any year, but that'll be $8,000. So like regularly my students are getting grants from colleges that are worth 10 or 20 times the fee that they pay me. So it's really all of the hard work going into your pockets, which is really cool. Here's some examples. This is the most generous scholarship I've seen from Loyola Marymount University. So this came out for Christian to $174,400 over 4 years. Some of that money they even were able to find from the Hispanic Alumni Association. So the money can come from different places. Sarah Lawrence, again, this is a very generous scholarship for them. Graham ended up with $140,000 over 4 years, which isn't bad because he had a couple C's, I think. I was really impressed with that. I love Lewis and Clark. It's a great place for I just love their career services office especially, but they're good at a lot of things and they have a beautiful campus. Willamette gave Bella $128,000. That was on top of her admission to like a fast track law school, like guaranteed law school admissions. And then at Scripps, I didn't have it, but she got $80,000 at Scripps. So then she's comparing the schools and the prices and the pathways. We even got one from UC Davis. Usually you're not seeing much merit aid at all from UCs, but this was $30,000 for UC Davis for one of my students. So what I want you to take away from that is just that you can do it too. All right, let's talk about selectivity, and I'm going to move into it a little bit with some briskness because I want to be wary of time. But really, I want to tell you what colleges are considering. I want to talk to you about that SAT, ACT test optional, activities and volunteering in your questions. Anything we don't get to, I can send in a resource in a future session. In a future email. So I don't know if anyone feels like their teens are stressed or the family is stressed, and people who have stuff moving and it's, like we're working, sometimes it just doesn't feel authentic. Maybe we feel like robots. I don't know, does anyone relate? So it doesn't have to be that way. The colleges, when we're talking about college admissions and working on these applications that are so involved, honestly, humans in their adult lives, almost anywhere. I mean, nobody gets evaluated as critically and from so many angles at once as these 17-year-olds are applying to college. The college admissions process looks at every part of their lives. They want to know what they're doing outside of school. They want to know the student character values. They want their teachers to tell stories about them. Basically, holistic admission does that, but then I like to frame it as colleges want stories from the students and from their teachers, from the application, and they're kind of painting stories through little patterns that they notice in the applications. So you want to give them stories that really work, and that's your best way to achieve success with the applications when the admission is less likely or when you want a scholarship. Another story that's really important to tell is you're fit for the college, and to make it really authentic and not just sound like you read the website and copied some stuff. So colleges evaluate the grades and the quality of coursework. The activities and awards, this is actually really important, and I have a really long template that we knock out over the summer. We work really hard on it, and we write those activities descriptions like little essays and edit them up. Recommendations from the teachers, these become more important, especially with AI and technology and grade inflation, just to see what is happening from a source that the student can't influence. The school context, personal context, essays. And then there's some optional stuff. SAT, ACT is less important than it used to be, but it depends on the school. Interview, portfolio, other things. UC has a 14-point system, and then now 13 points since they're not looking at SAT, ACT, but they always call it the 14-point system. Sometimes it still becomes a 14-point system because Berkeley will ask for recommendations sometimes, and then it's a 14-point system. But usually UCs don't look at recommendations. Jennifer has a cool story, and I'm not going to tell it, but I will say that despite great hardship, she was able to tell the story of the hardship, and it impressed Northeastern, which the way that she overcame the conflict was it was just really good fit for them and their programs. A lot of people talk about well-rounded students in terms of trying to create a strong application profile. That kind of looks like physical, creative, value-centered, mental stuff, research, personal values in action, and community. Trying to show all of these different parts of a student. These are good, and this, a couple years ago, a Stanford dean started talking about the well-rounded student versus the pointy student like this. This is a student who may not do too much at all, but when they do stuff, it's going to be all about just one thing, and it's going to be enormously impressive, like a nationally ranked athlete, like a musician that is playing globally. These are the students that they already know that they're these students. Usually they're unicorns. Not everybody can be this pointy. So this is sort of a flawed way of looking at things, but it's what people usually talk about. The well-rounded student, where because this looks like checking boxes, too many students are able to look like this, and the pointy student where they're unicorns. So I like to talk about well-pointed students. Students should have a lot of different things that show their character values and such, and that they're diverse and aren't closed-minded. But also they kind of want to have like something that they focus on. We want to get a sense of what energizes the students. And ideally it's major related, and that really helps a lot. Luke was my student. Luke, he was like that, 35 on the ACT, super strong stuff, but he was just doing all these different things that seemed kind of scattered, and he liked writing, so he wrote stories, and he was like 3/4 of the way through something he was really proud of? Well, I told Luke, well, maybe you should pull back on some of that other stuff and make sure this summer that you publish that, whatever that book is. Obviously self-publish, but he was able to do that, and he was accepted into that top creative writing program at WashU. And why do I say optimize? It's because we don't want the students to explode. Maximize. If we maximize their application portfolio, then that's when the students are going to explode because they are doing everything. That's not realistic. Really, colleges want stories, and you don't need to get yourself to the point of collapse in order to tell stories. So it's really about focusing on what brings the students energy so that they're not doing too many things that make them very tired and burnt out. Giving them autonomy and choices in those activities, and also making room, of course, for self-care. But then you have happy students, and colleges love, and they can sense when students have that awesome energy and vibe and direction and sense of self and purpose that they want on their campuses. Quickly to talk about the SAT, ACT. Basically, it's SAT or ACT. You take one of them, don't take both. Ideally in 10th or 11th grade, 9th grade if you're advanced in math. You're trying to do really well so that it makes your transcript look better, because so many schools are test optional. You really only want to send an ACT if it makes if it validates your transcript. So Luke had a 35 on the ACT, and I think he had a 4.6 something GPA, I forget. Those kind of go together. So the ACT made a lot of sense. And then if he had a low GPA and a high ACT, it would just say that some of his courses weren't working for him, or maybe he was bored. So they're looking for patterns to tell stories. What you wouldn't ever want to do is have a very high GPA and then send in a low ACT score. It makes no sense and tells a strange story, and it's kind of like a funky smell in the room. So that's where test optional comes in. Sometimes you may love a school that requires tests like Georgetown or MIT. Well, if the test isn't working for you, maybe there is another school that's equally as cool but isn't obsessed with tests. And again, UC and Cal State, also University of San Diego, and a few others. These are test blind schools, which means that you can't even send them the SAT, ACT, really. Like, they're not supposed to even look at it. They don't even really want to hear about PSAT scores, which is mostly, PSAT is not that important, so don't worry about it. Let's talk about your activities. My favorite line is that parents should become enablers. Like, students want to do a lot of things that they might feel kind of like scared to ask for because it costs money, or just maybe they just don't think to ask, or they don't have the time. So as much as possible, say yes. And when I'm working with students, I love to help them help them ask their parents to say yes. Like it would be funny, like, oh, you want to go scuba diving? Well, let me ask your parents. So as much as we can say yes and get them excited, they'll have the energy to keep going and doing things. And it's the closest we can get to passion. Passion is sort of a fake thing, but continued demonstration of interest in an activity is really cool. That's true motivation. So we always want to say yes when students are really interested in something. Once I helped my student get almost all the way through a pilot's license. He went to the El Monte airport and he was almost flying planes. That was Hubert. So these are what would make an activity significant or not. Time spent, an active description. This is the thing I told you that we added up like essays. Position or leadership, community involvement, impact, personal connection. For volunteering, all of my students volunteer. Do you have to volunteer? No, there's no such thing as a volunteering requirement at colleges. And the volunteer requirement at high school, unrelated to college. So that's for the high school. Instead, it really just kind of shows value, the students' values. And my students, at least the ones who like working with me, they want to go out and help people, and they want to do it in a way that makes them feel happy and involved. So some examples, like that kind of make the students' personalities pop are these. You see the student has like a line of the volunteer experiences. He's not just a math student here. And these two, I won't spend too long on it, but actually I cut it out. Anyways, and here's another one that's cool for the UC app, and you can see those descriptions are a little bit longer. Should the activity, volunteer activity, be major related? No, it's completely not necessary. The volunteer activity should be something that students continually and energetically commit themselves to go consistently every week or two or whatever it is. But of course that would be an added plus if you had the major related thing. It's just this is the one place where we can say if it doesn't apply, it doesn't apply. Oh, was I behind? Oh, sorry, I skipped that. I meant to be on this side. Should the volunteer activity be major related? And then I don't think that's necessarily important. Let's talk about essays. You're going to have to write the personal statement. I'm going to go through the essays a little faster. And if you like, I can send you some examples of personal statement and UCPIQs. If you like after this. But the personal statement is going to be that big creative essay. It actually doesn't have to be creative, but it could be anything. So that's sort of creative. It can be very, there's really no requirements for it except it's 650 words. It's an essay about you. It's an essay about anything. We're supposed to get a window into a student's lives. I recommend the students do the UCPIQs first, where they're more direct and straightforward, asking you questions about what you've done and will do that you answer. And trying to get a sense of you. Just make sure that you write 4 UCSAs that are very diverse, show different sides of you, because you have 8 prompts and you choose 4, so you want to make sure they don't repeat each other. Supplemental essays typically include why major, like talk about an activity, why college, where your college search kind of shows off, and also like what's your purpose, or weird quirky essays about literally anything. So once you put all those extra essays that the colleges can throw at you together, you can end up with quite a few essays in the fall to write. Here's kind of the process that I use. I want students to understand the prompt. This is not as easy as it sounds, and if we miss this first step, the whole thing is done. So we got to go back to the beginning. So we really want to make sure we understand what the prompt is asking for. Then we're going to brainstorm. Then we plan out. I use a thesis to plan an essay, which is like one sentence to describe the entire essay, and then you can, if you want to, outline. Especially with UCSAs, I use an outlining method that I made myself. But the outline can really help a lot of students, trying to make sure that every element of the essay lines up with the thesis, the main point. Like they should do a rough draft. It can be a sloppy draft. It could be literally anything. It can be full of typos. I just want students to send me something that I can give feedback on. Then we revise, and then we edit it. And then, of course, that's where we're into grammar. And I do the editing at the final stage for my students, just because it's not supposed to be a grammar exercise. It's supposed to be about the students' ideas. And then we finalize it, of course. So this was the kind of goal of the session that we were supposed to arrive at the end of our 3 components of Admissions U. I wanted you to know that you were going to reach your goals, whatever they are, as long as you embrace a calm, purposeful plan. That's a requirement. So I'm hoping that that's stuck. So let's do kind of the math on this. If you believe number 1, if you guide your teen to finish college apps early, and you didn't have to do that with the stressing and nagging, that if they finished the apps with a plan, was that a good thing? Your teen reached their goals with a calm, purposeful plan. Very good. Yes. Number 2, if you find your schools that delight your teen and you don't have to pay sticker price for them, the schools are right. The students are happy with whatever they get into, and then they're choosing between them because they're awesome and they're just trying to find the ones with the best price and the best experience. Did your teen reach their goal with their awesome plan? I'm hoping yes. And then number 3, if you were able to fight the selectivity dragon to make sure that your teen used their plan in order to find their best schools. Did they use their plan to reach their goals? Cool. So that was my way of trying to convince you successfully, I think, that really college applications are all about college planning, and that's why I'm a college planning expert. I make my whole profession about this. So I hope that was helpful. Moving on, here's our ghosty again. I hope that you are no longer scared about college planning. There are still going to be gaps to fill in terms of individual students and things changing over time. There are still going to be things that are going to be hard and may involve math, like the college costs. But I hope that you have a lot of what you need in order to know how to create that plan on your own. That said, if you want support through the process or want me to take it off of your plate, get to know your student so that your student could have someone on their team and their side, someone they can reach out to when things get hard, when it that isn't a parent but is an expert in the process who gets it done all the time. Over 300 students, and just keeps it's got to be more now. My students are always achieving one of their top 3 schools. I think the number that we calculated was like 90%. And my students are happy and they have cool career outcomes and they stay in touch with me afterwards. So I love working with families and taking this off of your plate. If you want to hear more about that, and specifically a program that I have coming up that is about to have a registration cutoff, because it only happens once a year. I would love to tell you about that right now. I'll definitely keep it to time for our session. But I only really want to do it if you want to hear about it. We only have a few people in the room. I want to hear from y'all. Could I get a hand raise if it's okay if I tell you about a program that I have coming up? Like the hand raise emoji. Oh, is there a? Oh, is someone's trying to share? Oh, okay. I think someone was trying to raise their hand and then they shared screen instead. Okay, so I would love to share that with you. This is a really cool program that I only launch once a year. So you're just in time, and if Wednesday would be the last time to sign up for it. So this is sort of me getting out the last available spots and trying to see if this could be right for you. It could be really cool. It's actually not my one-on-one program, so this is the one that's open year round. So if if I have space and if you want to talk to me about the one-on-one program, that's the one that's 8,000 for full support through the entire process through the end of senior year. That's a great program. That's our signature program. It's comprehensive, and every student gets full guidance through the end. So that's open all the time. You're welcome to reach out to me about that. But today's is going to be really interesting. It's the College Expedition Group. It is a comprehensive program just like the one-on program, and then I figured out a format that's going to give you the exact same results as the one-on-one program, where students 90% of them go to one of their top 3 favorite schools. They all finish by December 15th for winter break. And they all have access to an expert through the end of senior year. But this time I'm able to offer a reduced rate than the premium program because it's going to be in a group format. It's a close-knit group of students who get to plan, and they get lots of support in the same room. It's going to create a cool sense of community, and then also builds in accountability because of the structure of the group. Lots of sessions to have those accountability factors show up and live on the Zoom and really kind of show their work and be celebrated for it. I am pouring myself into this group, so it's definitely still a premium product, just like the one-on-one program. It just keeps me from having to repeat myself, as I was repeating myself a lot in the one-on-one program. Because of the timeline, I would have the same conversation 3 or 4 times the exact same way with 3 or 4 different people in a day. And I was thinking, what if I could just put these people in the same room for this conversation? We would all save time, and also the students might even like each other. So, when I started doing this, I found that this was really good for students, both introverts and extroverts, actually, because introverts kind of have that safety of Zoom. Also, it's not a huge group, so they get to know people and get more interaction out of it, where extroverts get to share and show off, and they get to be their extroverted self in the group. The students have really loved this format. They also still have availability, to access me. So, like if they have questions that are just them, or if they're shy to ask, I can either take them in a breakout room or answer on the Messenger app. So Really, the only difference is that group setting and nothing else. So, like, I still read and check all the essays, finalize all the essays with edits and polish. We finalize the college list. Literally everything is the same. It's a great situation. So, all the benefits, community format. When I say comprehensive for my one-on-one program or for the group program, sometimes people don't know what that means. Basically, here's what it means. Students meet with me regularly, this time with the group, on Zoom for discussion, guidance, and support in a curriculum of topics. It's going to cover the whole application process. It goes through everything. That's comprehensive. We'll also schedule application workshops and essay workshops. What makes the program really special is that it's comprehensive, includes like everything. So we can't always do that. A lot of counselors are going to have hourly programs, but I don't love hourly programs because then I feel like I'm timing myself as I get to know students, but I have to get to know students in order to help them find their colleges and do good work. There's also additional support, and that's comprehensive. Asynchronous outside of the meetings. I'm looking at the essays on Google Docs, leaving comments. Students are getting back to me. I'm getting back to them. I can make a video to answer a question uploaded to the online platform. We've got a color-coded essay organizer, so you have your accountability. Also, parents can look at that, just the first page, and see that at a glance without actually having to go through essays. You can see the color-coded organizer. And every essay gets its green check when it gets to get copied into the application. Every essay revised and finalized by me, personalized college recommendations and the college list finalization from me, financial aid analysis and recommendations. Students can access me when they need to. So it's a great system, and a lot of students even prefer the group format. And it still comes with the College Torch promise. We want to get these applications done early before winter break, and it just changes everything. You have the best winter break. And you may even have heard back from your early schools. It's awesome, so you can celebrate. So here's the kind of stuff that you're going to get. A balanced college list that your teen loves, college acceptances, confidence and calm, no more essay distress, a sense of purpose, discovery of a college major without it, again, being a life commitment. Enjoy your family time again, please. And then I want you to get the free money and scholarships. Like I said, students are getting their fees back easily in those scholarships. So my idea is that parents can totally step back and just watch the teen go on this expert-supported journey through the college process. And hopefully you can avoid overpaying for college by $10,000, $50,000, $100,000 or more. So where does the money from my fee even go towards? Some people wonder, well, I have an office, but that's not really the major expense. You're paying the program fee basically for me being an expert. So I spent the time and I spent the money visiting colleges, meeting admissions officers and students, learning about colleges, and taking notes. Then at home, I'm reviewing them like a final exam. I have binders. And then I stay in touch with admissions officers. I stay in touch with financial aid officers, and active at the conferences, full professional membership in 4 of the largest counseling organizations. I speak at those conferences as well. And I'm keeping track constantly of changes and trends in the admissions world. I edit thousands of students' essays, so I am quick and fluent in the language and evolution of college essays. And I've worked with hundreds of students over my career so far, and hundreds more to come. So I understand teens sharply, and I can create an effective process for them because I know what works. So I want you to get the college process right the first time. That's why I put all of that time and effort and travel into becoming the expert so that you don't have to. Here are the frequently asked questions just answered for you about the group program. The expertise stays exactly the same. I work with the students in the group. Anything else, if you worked with someone on the team, that would just be an extra bonus that I added. But all of the expertise is coming from me and stays the same as the one-on-one program. It's the personalized discussion and action steps and follow-up. And the essay work, where you're again seeing me working with the students in a personalized way. Your team is going to connect with people in this group. It always happens. It's going to be small and close knit. It's not going to be a large, crowded room, I promise. And then if students are just nervous and don't want to share anything, it hasn't actually come up yet. But if it does, it's a safe space. So I'm always talking things out with students and personalizing it for them. Every session is going to be uploaded to the online platform as a video replay. I hope the students don't have to miss too many sessions, but if they're willing to watch the video, then they're still going to be able to get the information, and then they can send me their materials. I am reviewing those materials myself. Students apply to all the UC and Cal State schools that make sense for them. That counts as one college, plus you have 9 other schools at most, so students don't even usually want to apply to that many. So that gives you lots of schools, kind of 10 applications total, but if UC and Cal State are counting as one. But really we're trying to find the amount of schools that students can manage the work for. And yes, students can ask their questions between sessions. So I'm curious if this sounded like a good idea. I'm not sure if a lot of you have thought that college counseling could be in a group before, but I know from doing it actually that it works really well. So I'm curious if you could reflect on it, if you think it would help your teen, if you think comprehensive support sounds like a good way instead of counting hours, certainly instead of rushing services. I wonder if you would feel confident in me to lead the program after hearing the presentation. I hope so. And whether you think I could help your team reach their goals. So in the group program, it's going to cover everything that we talked about in the presentation, but especially you're going to see the personal inventories, college major discovery, college search and ideal fit college list, application strategy, college applications, and essays from start to finish. We also are going to keep things going until the end of senior year because things do come up in second semester. I'm offering these bonuses. If summer programs or internships come up, happy to help with those applications. Senior spring support, like I just mentioned. And I'm actually happy to throw in brief one-on-one meetings if something comes up. In the past, they rarely have. Maybe with an essay that has a sudden issue or something. But that way you know that you can have some one-on-one if you need it. Parents can also use that for parent phone calls. I'm going to skip over my... for time, these awesome parents who shared their experience with me, but you could check them out on my Google reviews. This is also a student. I love helping students who don't think they may go to college necessarily. Well, of course they can. They can do anything they want. This is the group program itself is lined up for 11th graders, but if you're in 9th or 10th grade, then I can kind of create a one-on-one program with quarterly meetings, or maybe some group things thrown in for 9th and 10th grade in the beginning of 11th until the program starts, in order for it to create a bridge between now and then. So you kind of get a big extra value if it is a 9th or 10th grader, because that is a little one-on-one program, a lot, like attention at the exact same price as if you sign up right now for an 11th grader. So here's what you get. These live meetings for, the live meetings themselves, that could be $3,500. Milestones and deadlines, $500. Specific directions for all the application tasks, that could be $500. Those online courses that I worked really hard on, they're comprehensive too. That could be $1,000 for those. Regular essay workshops, work sessions would be $1,500. Color-coded essay organizer that we are regularly updating, and parents can see on the first page. That's $1,000 value. Feedback, support, and answers to all your questions, that could be $1,000 value. Accountability and check-ins, $500 add-on for that. Access to College Expedition platform with all sessions uploaded, $500 for that. What I'm trying to do here, by the way, is trying to show you all of the things that go into the work behind the scenes that you don't get to see. At the core of the program, you have a $10,000 offer right there. You also get your college search guidance, which involves research and stuff from me behind the scenes. Inventories and aptitudes, $1,000. College major discovery, $1,500. My recommendations from my behind the scenes research, 1500 and 1500, understanding all the college fit factors, 1000, college research guidance, 1000, financial aid analysis and recommendations, 1500, and those templates, organizers, and resources, 1000. That could be 10,500 right there. For the application strategy, course selection, 500, the activities and volunteering recommendations, 1000, summer planning, 500, application planning for EDEA, 500, college major alignment, 1000, project brainstorming, 1000, test planning including score sends, 1000, teacher recommendations, 500, other admission guidance, 500. That would be 6,500 here, and then all materials reviewed and finalized with the applications, activities, descriptions, every single essay, brag sheets and feedback, sending materials, interviews, named scholarship essays, and more. Those could come out to 15,000, and so the bonuses could be 3,000. And then access to me. I like to think that's invaluable, but students really do use me as a resource. And then the value of the financial aid and scholarships. And you don't know that yet, but it's always really great to see those come in and see how they affect college costs. So I try to fit $45,000 worth of value into this program. So if all of this, the group program did was create the smoothest college process and keep your family feeling happy, confident, purposeful, and excited about the future, would it be worth it? 45,000. My family say yes. I've actually asked them. If all this did was create a scenario where your teen gets to go to a college where they're happy, thrive, and achieve their goals, would it be worth it? They always say yes. If all this did was give you your absolute best chance of getting into the universities that you wish and dream about, would it be worth it? Again, yes. What about with the $50,000 merit scholarship, 100,000, 150,000? Remember Christian, he got 175,000 from LMU. I had two options. I could have cut back on the value and lowered the price. Instead, I packed in the value, and I'm really bringing you a program that I am very proud of. So the price for the group program is $69.99. Remember, the one-on-one program is $8,000. If someone wants to talk to me about that, you're welcome to talk to me about the one-on-one. You can talk to me offline, but I'm going to show you how you can look into our full page outlining the parts of this program so that you can think about it today. But that's $69.99. It's a value for a program that delivers the same results and has extra community. So that's almost 7 times the value, of the program just for you. So registration for this closes Wednesday at 11:59 p.m. There's an online sign up. Please email me, message me, call me if you would like to talk about things, or if you want me to meet the student real quick to make sure that they know me and like me before you sign up. I'm happy to do that. You would do that at this website, collegetorch.com/expedition. And if you're still on the fence now about it, I even offer a 30-day guarantee. If we're going into the process for 30 days and students just aren't feeling like it's a good fit, this has never happened before, but I am happy to refund and let you walk away from the program if it's not a good fit after 30 days. Along the way, please communicate with me. Let me know how I can add more value or adjust for students if they are feeling like they are wanting to work a little harder, or if they're feeling a little stressed. I always want to hear how students are doing along the way so that I can offer the best service. But of course, if after 30 days it's not feeling right, just let me know. So really, there's no reason not to sign up and get going. This process is really important, and I'm here to help. Special deal just for you. I'll help with the private scholarships, 8 of them. I never do that. So if you can sign up tonight, I will add 8 of your hardest private scholarship applications to the group program offering for the student when they're in senior year. This is literally something that when people ask me, I say no. If they try to pay me, I say no. There's just too many private scholarship applications to keep up with that work for anybody to do. And I hate charging people for, when I should be getting them money, not charging them money. So this is just for you only today. If by tonight at 11:59 p.m. You're able to sign up, I will include this in the agreement, the private scholarship search, by 11:59 tonight. And so otherwise, this is your main value here. I've told you everything that I know. like an overview format, but you now know all about the college application and admissions process, the college search, financial aid. You got a lot of good information in this session. Please spread it. Please use it. Please call me if you have questions or want to talk. Please tell your friends. We want to get the good information out so that everybody can live the college torch promise, whether they work with me or not. I want everybody to finish applications early, have an awesome winter break, spend your time celebrating yourself and reaching your goals. I love it. Okay, here's that link again, collegetorch.com/expedition. And I'll send a couple reminders both about tonight's deadline and Wednesday's deadline. But after Wednesday, I cut off the program and we get started. And it's a lot of fun. Okay, so thank you for staying the whole time, everybody. I really appreciate you. And at this point, I want to take questions, all of them. So you can ask me questions about the program we just talked about. I love that. Or ask me questions about the college process. And if no questions, that's okay too.
Yeah, it looks like we have Nat still. Nat, if you want to throw a question in the chat or
Yeah, or yeah,
even,
or speak up, or
yeah.
whatever's easiest for you, really. Okay, okay. Awesome. So I am going to end the recording now. Those of you joining us on the video, thank you too for taking the time to watch this and join us. If you have questions, send them along. Um, I love all of the families that I talk to, so I hope that I get to know you at some point soon. And I'm wishing everybody tons of luck in the process. Bye. Bye, everybody.